Hello, hello, hello. It's Kate from Envy Boudoir. We are here with Jennifer and Taylor. We're going to be talking about their boudoir experience. I am so excited. They are such an amazing couple, and I just absolutely adored having them in the studio. So before we do that, I am going to wait just to help people catch this live. So if you are live, just say hey. Otherwise, comment replay, just so I can try and keep up with the algorithm and go from there. So I'm actually going to hop on my phone quick to make sure that we're live in the right places. Give everyone a moment. How's everyone's Thursday? All right, just sharing in the group. Okay, perfect. So before we bring Jennifer and Taylor in, I do also want to share I am doing a huge giveaway in my group right now where I have 3 grand prize winners. So if you guys want the link to that, I absolutely encourage you to enter no matter what. What's the worst thing that could happen? You know, if you've ever been curious about a boudoir session, definitely go ahead and toss your name in the hat. So anyways, we have a few people live with us. Hey, I'm super excited. So we're going to go ahead and bring Jen and Tay in, and we're going to be talking about how they found me, what they were feeling leading up to it, and what session day was like. So without further ado, hello guys, how are you?
Doing all right.
Perfect. So there is also a slight delay. So if we're talking over each other, it's totally fine. It's just what it's going to be doing today. So I really want to dive in deep with you guys and just kind of ask, what was your journey to boudoir?
I guess in general, it was something that I like pursued specifically, and she was a good sport and just kind of was along for the ride. We had both been through some pretty nasty divorces in the years before our relationship started, and as the dust started to settle, it was just kind of something that felt like a really fun way to celebrate everything that we had been through, and to have this like tangible like something to show and look back on and just really appreciate as like how far we'd come, and just like really celebrate our love for each other and our relationship and where we were at the time.
Oh, I love that. Taylor, how long have you guys been together?
We've been together about 5.5 years.
Amazing. And I know you guys have a big family, so share with everyone like what that life is like. And
yeah, actually we were just talking. I was like, we need to tell the kids to be quiet. Like somebody will inevitably come into this room. We have 8 kids combined. Our oldest just turned 18, and from there it's like domino effect down. So we have 18, 16, 15, 14, about to be 12, 10, 8, and 7. I miss anyone?
Amazing. Busy.
Yeah, very busy.
Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today. I know that we've been talking about it. I know I first mentioned it like a couple months ago. And so when I was like, hey, can you guys do this? You were like, yes, but let us know like in advance, please.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, perfect. So I know, Jen, you were saying that Taylor was just kind of along for the ride. Taylor, can you share a little bit of your perspective on what the process was like leading up to this?
So I feel like Jen was mostly the one communicating with you, and she's like, this is, so we had talked about it. We had talked about it for a long time though. I think we had talked maybe a year or so. And it was something that she really, really wanted to do. Mm-hmm. And she's like our picture person. So like our family pictures, she always schedules them. She has like the color coordination. She's got everything under control. So pictures are like her baby. I am the master calendar planner, and everything. But pictures are her thing that she does. So she was like, I want to do this. And I was like, okay, sure. Like, let's do it. So I feel like maybe she was
more gung-ho than I was at first. And maybe because I just didn't know a lot about it. And then we were communicating about it and decided that we were going to jump into it and actually go through with it. And then I was more excited as time went by.
Amazing. Oh, I love to hear that. So at what point were you just like, okay, I am like really excited about this. Like, I cannot wait to get in.
So I think for me, it was like when we were going in, because I did not know a whole lot about it, but I was excited to like go in and get like hair and makeup done. And we were, I was more excited, I guess, before that when we were like planning outfits out and stuff like that. So I feel like I was kind of feeding off of her excitement level leading up to it, and then was more like jump in as I got closer.
Amazing. So Jen, what was your favorite part of session day?
Oh, that's hard. Oh gosh, I don't know. I was really, really nervous. I don't have a lot of body confidence, so I was, like a little scared about like getting naked in front of the camera and like being in these like spicy. I definitely was more in it for like I wanted the pictures of Taylor's body than wanting the pictures of my body. Mm-hmm. But once we got there, it was just like I loved how comfortable it felt because I had so many anxieties going into it. But once we were in it and we were like, picking what we were going to wear and had our hair done and everything, it was like, I totally forgot that I had ever was like worried about it. It was just completely like organic and comfortable and there wasn't any fears. And then, but I think my favorite part was probably like the spiciness.
Yeah.
I know we kind of, in every relationship role, there's more of like a masculine or feminine. Were you nervous about how you would be represented within your own session?
Interesting question. I don't think I was, but I think it's, I felt like I had communicated, like, I'm good at advocating for myself maybe. So if it had ever gotten to a point where I felt like I was being put in a more feminine position or like being portrayed more feminine, that I would have been like, oh, I'm not comfortable with that. And I feel like with the makeup artist and stuff, I was like, I like to look more natural, like this is what I want and this is what I don't want. And I was completely respected in that. Yep. Even like, I know when you were picking out my outfits, we were going for more like, the shorts and tank top or the button up more than the strappy lingerie. And that just worked for me, so I wasn't really nervous about it. I feel like it was just a open communication and complete understanding on everybody's part that just worked.
Amazing. Yeah. So I love that, like you said, I'm really good about advocating for myself. What would you say to someone who might be nervous about that because they might just have like so many nerves of actually doing this and not knowing if like they are going to be represented in a way that they want to be?
I think maybe because I was the person going into it more nervous, and she is so good at advocating for herself. Like we will joke that like we know our roles, like we very clearly know our roles, and she is very good at sticking by that. I think me being the more nervous, I think in the session, you were asking the right questions. So it makes it easier when you don't have to be the person that is coming up or saying like, well, I want to be more feminine or I want to be more masculine, when the questions are being asked you in a way that you get to answer them versus having to be assertive. And I think you did a really good job at that.
Yeah. There was never any point that you were like, I don't care what you think, I'm going to put you in this position, or I'm
oh my
like,
God.
It's like it was always completely like, it's weird to say consent because it's not like we were like having like a relationship, but you always like very clear, like communication and consent on like, this is the position that I'm looking for. Are you guys comfortable with that? Like, can we do, there was never any like,
yeah, I think even with like, you're really good at open-ended questions. So instead of saying something like, do you like this lingerie? And somebody is like, I mean, yeah, it's fine. You're like, do you like this, or this better? So you get to kind of get a feel for people, and it makes you have to answer to make a choice versus just saying yes or no and kind of going with something. So I feel like that's really important for people to communicate.
Perfect. So I know, kind of segueing into this, we did also kind of do like a dom sub switch. How is that for you guys?
There wasn't ever. Yeah, you're generally the more like dominating.
Yeah, for sure. Was there anything that
I was trying to think.
Did we switch?
I think we had a few pictures that were
leading into the tub.
Yep. That were more, but I don't. Maybe because we both just felt so comfortable. We're like, I don't know. I was just so great.
Yeah, I just remember getting to a point where I was like, okay. There's a third person in the room. Got to calm it down a little.
So you did kind of touch on that. How was it like coming in for like a couple session and having it be like, okay, like Kate told me it's going to be kind of like what we actually do. And then you hear like, yes, like from the foliage, like how is that experience?
Yeah, actually, what was it that you do you remember that phrase that she said that we ended up like?
We would say it all the time. All the time. We would say, tits up, bitch.
Yeah.
We're like a year after.
Yeah, there was something else that you were saying while you were clicking, and I don't remember if it was like, yes, queen, or yes, girl, or something like that. And we would just quote it all the time. Be like, yes, girl. And I can't remember.
So I guess the answer is we loved it.
We loved it.
We like embraced it after the fact.
Yeah. If you're like ever like insecure, there's nothing like somebody in your ears like, yeah, girl, you're killing it. You know, so it really sticks with you.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh my gosh, I'm crying. That's so cool. Like I always think of myself, I can never think of like where the GIF is from. I know there's like a Kim Kardashian one where she's just like out of the that's what I always feel like in couple sessions because I'm like, you guys are doing amazing and I don't want to say too much, but if you could just move your chin just slightly.
Yeah, I never was awkward or anything though. It didn't like I didn't feel like it took away from like the experience. It was just this really cool like I don't know, just like a celebration of like, you know, we're getting to be ourselves, but also there's someone there who's like, you're freaking killing it.
We'll start with Jen. What was your favorite set from the session?
Oh, for me, it was probably shower.
Oh my God, I forgot we did that.
I absolutely love the shower pictures. They're probably my favorite. They're like the borderline ones that like I wish with everything in me that I could share on Facebook and I can't.
I know. Okay, Taylor, what about you?
Yeah, mine is also the shower. I really, actually, I like the ingenuity behind it, that it was like behind the scenes, kind of like when you're in it, actually seeing how a shower scene would like.
Yeah, I was really like, oh, that's how she does it.
Yeah, so that was really cool. And I also just like our vibe in that. I guess my next one would be the our like Dom sub one. So like where she had like was holding the chain, and I like that one a lot.
Just because my tits look good.
Yeah, for sure.
Sorry, I don't know if I can say that.
I mean, we'll find out. Like my favorite was when we're talking about like the bondage one, where I was sitting behind you, Taylor. You were on the bed because she had the collar, and I'm like peeking around your shoulder and getting like that upward angle of her just like looking down at you. I was like, oh my God, this is the shot. This is the shot.
Yeah.
And then like I love the intimacy and like the softness of like how we ended with the shower, but still like it's super like sensual and sexy. But it's just like a completely different vibe of like what we started with the bondage versus how we ended in the shower. So
I really love where we started was like with clothes. Like she had like these like days like cut off shorts and like shoes were my tank top, and I had like a button up, and like those ones are like to me just as like sensual as the fully naked ones because it's that like teasing, like, you know, starting to get spicy.
Yeah.
For sure. And you can share those ones on Facebook.
Yes, exactly. Let me actually see if I can share this really quick because like I just pulled it up. Let me see. La, 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 la. We'll just share the entire screen. But like
some of my faves.
Incredible. Obsessed. Okay. So now it's post session. Let's just ask, like, how was the reveal portion of it?
I don't know if you remember, but it was crazy because you had told us that we should come back to the studio for the reveal. But we didn't follow your instructions very well. So anybody who's listening, please follow Kate's instructions. You really should do what she says, because we had to we're like, oh, we'll like run home and like feed everybody dinner, and then we'll come
our
back.
daughter was babysitting, so we were like trying to get home. So it was, we did not set ourselves up for success. Yes. So we had this really intimate, spicy, and it's like one of those, like, you kind of want to leave the studio and have sex, but you can't, because you have to run home to your 8 children who you forgot to feed. We did not forget to feed them. We were trying to make it home for dinner time.
So I'm like, I run back or something like that, and I got stuck in traffic. And so by the time we got the notice that you're like, I'm ready for you, I'm like an hour and a half away.
Yeah,
because,
I'm not.
Right. I'm like, I got stuck in traffic. And so you ended up like, oh, I mean, it's okay. Like, we'll do it virtual next week or something. And so I have some regrets on that we didn't plan as well as we should.
That was like our own, like,
oops.
Oops moment. Yeah,
because then once we actually had finished and we did do the reveal, like, we were together, and I was like, yeah, that would have been like really cool to do in the to do in the studio, like, together, and
on the big screen.
So it was exciting, and it was still wonderful, and we loved our pictures, but I would have done it a little differently if I could have gone back.
Taylor, what was your favorite product that you guys got?
Okay, let's see. We have a picture on our wall of it's like my ass, basically. It's like the curve of my back leading up, and
with the paddle on,
and so that's my favorite thing that we got. Like, we were like going through and picking the pictures. I feel like that was one. We were trying to be like, our kids are in and out of our room all the freaking time, so there's only specific ones that we would have been able to really feel like we could showcase in our room. And I feel like we have 2 pictures hanging up on our wall, and that one's my favorite. I
love it. What about you, Jen?
It's the album for me, because I just like to, I'm just a visual person. So it's just really fun. Like, I don't know, just random, like, want to get in the mood, or I miss her, or whatever. That's fun to flip through and like enjoy,
reliving the moment. I love that. So I know that you guys at the beginning said that you wanted to kind of use this moment to celebrate your relationship with each other. How would you say that this affected your bond together after the session?
I feel like it was just it is not something that we would do every day. So I feel like it was a kind of scheduled intimacy, so to speak. Like, we are prioritizing our relationship in this session in a very real way that then has like products afterwards. So we're like getting to go back and review it and remember that specific moment in time that we carved out for ourselves that is different than like going to dinner. It's just such an intimate experience between the 2 of us that we will still talk about, still can look at, we can still enjoy. So I feel like it is a more unique situation that not everybody has done. That was really a cool experience for the 2 of us together.
Yeah, you get to it's like, keep joking about how you can't share them on Facebook, but in some ways that makes them like even more special, because it's the thing that only we will ever get to fully appreciate. So like, when I am looking through the album, it's like just this like very us, unique, like special thing that will always stay, between us. And
I love that. And that's such an amazing point too, especially for a lot of people who might feel guilty because they see so much work that I share, and they'll be like, okay, well, I don't want you to feel bad if I don't want my photos shared. Like, that is such a beautiful perspective of like, this is your experience and this is what makes this special for you. So I know that we have that big ass wall art and we have a lot of children. So has there been any sort of like conversations that you guys have had to have with having your wall art up, or how does that look within your household?
No, I don't think anybody's even.
Yeah, I don't even think that. I think now that it's been up for so long, they don't even question. So what's actually funny is I don't think about it anymore, but our 16-year-olds best friend came over, and because we have so many kids in our house, we have like a nook in our room. And so I was like, well, why, when he comes over, just like you guys go into our nook and you guys can like eat lunch and hang out there. And I wasn't even thinking that like we have my ass on the wall. But it's kind of like, it's these like, one is a picture of the two of us kissing, and then the other one is my butt. And it's like, I mean, if you didn't know it was me, you probably wouldn't realize it was me. So it's like not like your mom's ass is on the wall.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's a good point. It's like, could just look like some arbitrary art we had picked up on like a street fair or something, because it's just a close up of the arch of her back. So
yeah, for sure. It's not anything super, because I think actually when we had planned it, we knew that our kids were going to be in and out of our room, because we like our room is our room, but we definitely don't want to make it so that our kids can be into our room. So we picked them purposely, knowing that our kids would be in and out of our room when those pictures were.
I got to be honest, we have more awkward conversations about the sex toys we forget to put away.
For sure.
Than the art on the wall.
For sure. Yeah.
So would you say that you guys are pretty open about like having those conversations, or was there anything that needed to happen prior to, like, I know a lot of parents, they come in and they're just like, I love this photo, but I just don't want my kid to see that because I'm not ready to have that conversation with them yet.
Yeah, I think that because I don't think that maybe our kids were
really
younger,
seen,
so it's like I don't think they would have even picked up when it went on the wall.
Yeah.
And now I feel like it's just background noise kind of to them, like they're not picking up on it. But all that to say, we are very open with any questions that our kids have and the questions that they ask. So in an age appropriate way, we're not like educating them and I don't know and things that they don't need to be educated in. But we handle the questions that our kids ask with open conversation.
Yeah, we were also just very careful when we were picking what we were going to display, and knowing that it would have to be explained. So we, the ones that we have on our wall are chosen very carefully so that they would not be like inappropriate. And then the ones that are like super spicy and fully naked, we haven't shown our kids the album.
Right. Yeah. Like nobody has seen the album except for the two of us. So we were very intentional about the products that were chosen to actually go into the house.
Yeah.
Incredible. So has there been anything else that's had like a ripple effect from before your session to now after your session? We're like 2 years out from your session.
Crazy. Yeah.
I mean, I just love to look back at the pictures, just like personally, but I actually was thinking that, my body has changed a lot, as has hers. And so it's been interesting over the years to continually, ever so now, like every so often go and open the album. And like, there have been times that I've like been a lot heavier than I was then. And then there are times that I have been a lot lighter than I was then. And no matter where I was on the spectrum, it's very interesting to go back and be like, oh, that was like, look at how good I looked. Or even now being like, oh my gosh, I was so much bigger. Like I'm proud of myself for how far I've come. And you've put on a lot of muscle. So your body shape is like a different composition now too. So
yeah, I think actually I was looking on the picture on our wall and I was like, my ass is so much bigger now.
Yeah. It's time for round 2.
So it's kind of this really cool, like, I don't know what to compare it to. Like, I guess maybe like your wedding photos. So we're in a kind of a non-traditional situation where we don't know when we will be actually getting married, if we are going to have a formal ceremony. So we're not going to have a wedding album like a lot of couples will have, so it's kind of cool to have that, to remember that moment and that time and that celebration. And then to look at your body now and specifically, or your relationship now, and like, I don't know, the nostalgia of it and the appreciation.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, because we don't have, like, we take family pictures, but we don't have couples pictures together. So this is the only set of couples pictures that we have ever done together. So I think that part for us is important.
Yeah, it's like, I just like when I do look at the album, it's like, I just know I'm going to treasure it forever, because of the experience that it was, and proud of ourselves for doing it, I guess.
Incredible. So I'm going to kind of backtrack a little bit. What would be your advice for someone who is looking for a boudoir photographer?
Definitely like look through those pictures, make sure it's your style. I did a lot of research before I had even reached out to you. I probably had gone through every single gallery that you had on your page before working up the courage to finally like reach out about like booking and stuff like that, because there are a lot of styles out there, and that's actually how I found yours. It was through a local photographer who I'd met through someone in my church, and she had been doing our family photos. And then she had gotten into boudoir. And so I had reached out to her, and she was like, oh, I'm not sure that like my style's really for you. I'm more of like a earthy celebration of like the female body, but not as much of like a spicy romantic thing. And she's like, so you should check out Kate. And so then I like, that's how I found your stuff. And like, once I like looked into it, I was like, oh yeah, I can totally get down.
And Taylor, did she have you as a part of the planning process, like trying to find the photographer, or did she just kind of like show you like, hey, here it is?
Yeah, I think she more was like, I am on board, but I need you to do the behind the scenes type of stuff. So she, I think maybe you showed me a few different, so it's not like she was like, I made this appointment and we're going. No. I was very much like, she showed me the pictures and I was like, I like this style. So I was involved in it. She was just kind of doing more of the work for it.
More of the legwork. Yeah. So what would be your biggest tip for one, coming in for a boudoir session, and two, coming in for a couples boudoir session?
I actually feel like maybe this is different than most people say, but I feel like it was easier going in as a couple because you have somebody that you are safe with and feel safe with going into this very intimate session. Yeah. So I feel like I would actually be more nervous going in by myself. But all that to say too, I feel like a lot of it is just doing research and having communication, any type of anxiety or worries or fears, like asking that in advance or as it comes up in real time. I think those are very important.
Yeah. I think for me, it would be to trust your photographer because everything that I look back and I'm like, oh yeah, Kate told me that and I didn't listen. or it's like, oh yeah, Kate told me that. I'm glad I listened to that. Yeah. So like things like you were like, it's definitely like a workout. You should be prepared. You should stretch. Like we were both so sore by the end of the day from all the like, posing and moving. And she's like, oh, she was not joking. Yeah, and then like when you give the advice, like to like bring a lot of options for dressing. So like we packed a huge bag, and I'm glad because we only used a few of them, but I was so glad once we got there that we had lots to choose from. So there was never a point where I was like, oh man, I wish I would have like packed this or packed that. It was like, we had done what you told us to. So we were prepared. For the most part, except for like the childcare situation.
And the stretching. I know that is like literally the number one that people do not do because they're just like, I work out. It's
I'm just taking pictures.
Hour. What? She doesn't know anything. Next day, bedridden.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly. Sure. So you got to trust your photographer. You got to trust that it's like their expertise, and you're just like, you just got to do it.
Yeah.
You're just there for the ride. Yeah. I absolutely adore you guys. Thank you so much for joining me today. Is there any like final words that you want to share with anyone who's kind of on the fence about this?
I feel like if you are entertaining it, then you should do it. If you are thinking about it, then the best thing to do is to like jump in to do it, because I feel like this is one of those situations that you could very easily talk yourself out of. But you should just talk yourself into it and just do it.
Yeah. I mean, my only thing would be like, it's worth every penny. And I wholeheartedly believe that. Like I said, I like look at those pictures often. I remember that experience with just such fondness. And there is never, ever a single day that I regret like spending the money on it that we did, because like, I know that I'm going to treasure that. Like, 50, 60-year-old me is going to be looking at those pictures and be like, oh my God, we were so high.
So. You're like, oh, okay. Like, look at us. Like we did that. Incredible. I thank you guys so much. I always remember, like, now that I'm like about 6 years in, it's getting a little fuzzy, but there are some sessions that I'm just like, I remember every single moment. And your guys' session was one of those. I just think that the both of you together, like it's obvious that you guys are soulmates. And I just feel so honored that I was able to really have both of you in the studio and capture those intimate moments for you. So thank you for choosing me. And I am just so excited I'm going to peer pressure you for you guys to come back in because it's been a minute. But other than that, like, thank you guys so much for joining us live. And I hope that you guys have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You.
Thanks, everyone.